Welcome to Session Sunday. Hi guys, it's Jack Edwards and today's video is focusing around a one-to-one finishing session. But before we get into this week's video, make sure you head over to our website now where you can sign up to view our exclusive content. Okay, so moving into the first part of this week's session, we're going to be taking a look at the first of our 3 finishing drills. Okay, so we're going to be working obviously with one player or a small group. Okay, so we're going to do the session without a goalkeeper, but if you do have a goalkeeper, that's fine, you just put them in. Okay, so what we're going to try and do is put equipment, so we're going to be looking at poles and mannequins to put in to make the players obviously psychologically have to be aware of those, okay, and try and beat them, obviously if it was in a real game. So in terms of the equipment this week, obviously we're looking for a goal to be used. If you don't have a goal, you can just put poles in instead. And then we're looking for poles and mannequins and cones as well. Okay, so with the cones, you want a couple of different colours. In terms, obviously, if you don't have poles or mannequins, you could try and put some cones in as well for different areas for the players to try and target, to obviously try and score and obviously just create different gaps. But with the poles, it's good because the players treat them as defenders. And then obviously, if you don't have mannequins, let's say you just have poles or the other way around, just have mannequins, okay? You just use them in the same way. So what we're going to have for the first part here for the setup, we're going to have our goal here, and then 15 yards from goal, or 10 yards from goal, you're going to have these mannequins here, or the poles, okay? They're going to be wider ones, and then an extra 5 yards, we're going to have more in here. So this is so when the player takes the ball down the line or comes inside, they're met with these as if it's defenders, okay, or the opposition players, okay? So it's more realistic for them the way they're going to take the touches, okay? They're going to have to drive inside, take the ball on the outside, because obviously the focus today is on our forwards movement, okay, and then finishing in that final third. So we're going to be going 30 yards in total here, okay? So from the goal line here up to this pole is going to be 30 yards, and then the 2 wider ones here are going to be 5 yards further back. And then in terms of the width, so this is going to be 8 yards apart, okay? So obviously into the middle is going to be 4 yards. So you're going to have your coach here, but again, if you're working with 2 players, the player who's obviously having a rest, okay, can obviously take this place, or obviously they can just have a rest anyway. So we're going to set up all these without the goalkeeper, but like I say, if you have the goalkeeper, even better. So what we're looking at here is our movement, okay, to receive a set, okay, to then move across the pitch into space. So then we're looking to either finishing behind, okay, or receiving the ball to feet and finish. Okay, so the player's going to start here, they're going to alternate sides, okay, so in each set, obviously working with younger players, you might want to do 4, okay, so it'd be 2 each side, older players, 6, okay, so 3 each side. And then again, if you wanted to test them even more, you could do 8, so 4 each side. But obviously, it's high tempo, so you want the players being able to get up and back because there's still like a lot of running involved. So ball starts with the coach. As this player comes up to the middle, they're going to play a 1-2, so it's going to be there, set, and then we're looking for that burst of movement. The players are going to come across the pole. They can also come behind, okay, so however you want to tell them to do the movement, it doesn't really matter as long as they're getting to the point. They're then going to look to go on the outside of this pole, okay, so it's that body position should be opened out to where the ball's coming from. So then there's 2 options for the coach. We either play into the feet, which means they can open out, okay, they can still drive inside. So that's why I've got the poles and mannequins there. So we're opening out and taking our touch into space to finish, or they're creating space to then go in on the shoulder. Okay, so it's putting in behind for the player to move into, taking that space in there and across, or it could be that they meet it here, come back outside and then look to finish. So obviously if there's no goalkeeper, you're going to be telling the players to aim for those corners, okay? To be obviously instinctive in that final third, okay? So touch and finish, okay? As soon as you've got the space, looking to pull the trigger, not hesitating, okay? Because it's not as realistic. As soon as they've finished, okay, coach will have the next ball ready, player comes to the other side and just repeats the drill, but obviously going the opposite way. So comes in, gets the 1-2, gets themselves on the outside, and again the coach will look to slide them in. So obviously they've got chances to work with both feet, okay, so if they're right footer, they can come in on the right foot here, or they can take it on the outside on the left, and then the same the opposite side. So let's say the player goes to meet the ball in here, takes a touch across the body, and then finishes. Okay, so the main things we're looking for is obviously that movement into space, okay, and then that timing of the run in behind. So you want them to try and focus on, obviously, if the coach has got the ball here, keeping themselves on side in both instances, creating space by getting away from the pole, and then finishing in that final third. We will now move into our first animation before moving on to part 2 of this week's session. Now moving into part 2 of this week's session, we're now moving into our second finishing drill. So what we're going to be looking at now is a double movement. Okay, so it could be going short then long, and then obviously going deep to then coming high. Okay, or it could be going from side to side as well. So the players are going to start in this middle pole, okay? So we've got obviously the poles and the mannequins set up here, so there's a middle one now. So what we're looking for is obviously the players when they're receiving in these wide areas is to obviously to take it into space where they can finish across. So taking it away from the middle, so it's that shift of the ball into space to then finish. So they're going to be between 10 and 15 yards away from goal, okay? So then we're going to have the first poles here 20 yards from goal, these ones 30, and obviously the middle in here is going to be obviously 5 yards, but you can make it short if you want to with smaller age groups because obviously it's a lot of running for them to do. So the player's going to start in the middle. They can either start in front or behind, doesn't really matter. So you're going to do different sets. So the first couple of times you do it with the players control the movement and then the coach, so you can number the poles, let's say 1, 2, 3 and 4. So you might say 1 and 3. So then the player's got to get across. Okay, so they're moving into an area here. Ball's not going to go there. They get themselves across to receive it. Okay, so it's focusing on always being on the move because obviously the ball might transition from one side to another. Okay, so it's creating that space, getting away from the defenders, okay, to then score. After every finish, the player returns back into the middle, okay? And then obviously they're looking to do the same again. So again, with your set can be between 4 and 6. You don't want to do too many more than that because obviously with the running for the players, they'll get fatigued quite easily. So you want them to be able to endure the amount of repetitions you're looking to do. So let's start in here. Okay, so let's say player comes here, okay, can't receive the ball, and then they pull it wide here. So then what they're looking to do is either, again, played in front to meet the ball and finish, or play to feet. So the coach again has got 2 decisions that they can make. So then we're looking for the player to be obviously a good ball control, good first touch out the feet, so then look to finish. Okay, so being instinctive, getting in that final third, or they're meeting that ball, okay, taking a touch into space again, and then look to finish. After they go, they can go in there. So again, it could be they go out to one side, don't get the ball, and then they're coming across. So for us as the coach, we can sense the way the player wants to be, what foot the player is as well. So as they're coming across here, as they go round, we might be able to slide them straight in. Or as they're coming across here, play across them for them to meet the ball and then drive into space and score. So giving the players different balls to deal with as well, because sometimes they might receive a poor pass or a pass where they don't want it to go to, but they've got to deal with it. Okay, so it could be the fact that they go out wide, so they come along and they want the ball in front, okay, but they get it to feet. So how do they adapt? A good first touch into space, and then they can drive and look to score. Okay, so we're not putting a limit on the touches, we're looking for players to shoot at the right time. So obviously if they receive the ball on the run here, it could be one touch out the feet and finish. If they receive it to feet, one touch into space, drive into space, and then look to finish. Okay, so obviously we're looking in, as we're closer to goal, limiting our touches, okay, but as we're further away, trying to build that momentum to then try and score, which we see from all the top strikers. Okay, it's instinctive stuff. It's touch and finish, it's first time finishes. When they get the little bit of space, okay, they're not taking too many touches. It's obviously, let's say they go out wide, okay, here, and then they come in. So then if they're meeting that ball, they're taking a touch and finishing, they're going to meet the ball, okay, to use the momentum. Sometimes it might be a first time finish. They're not going to keep driving into here, driving into here, driving into here, okay, because obviously they're limiting their options, making it easier for defenders and the goalkeepers to read where the finish is going to go. We will now move into our next animation before moving on to this week's 4-corner model. Okay, so taking a look at this week's 4-corner model, starting off with technical and tactical, one of the main things we're looking at is our movement. Okay, so our movement to receive the ball, our movement into space. So what we've seen obviously in the first 2 parts of the videos, which we've done so far, we're focusing on creating that space to receive the ball. Okay, but it's not just to receive it to feet, it's to receive the ball in behind. So obviously we're trying to get around and on the shoulder of the defenders, okay, so then we can penetrate in behind. So that's what we talk about all the time. And obviously you can see that if you view our tactical analysis videos on the website as well, where we speak about our strikers' movements, being able to see, okay, the back of the defender's shirt, okay, because if you can see the number on the back of the defender, that means that the defender's got to be concentrating on where the ball is, okay, and where obviously the striker is, which means they can't look at 2, so we can get that slight edge to get in behind and finish. So it's the same when the ball's in the box. So obviously what we're looking at then is our ball control. So obviously, where are we receiving the ball? Is it to feet? We want a positive first touch out of our feet to move on to. If obviously we're receiving it in behind, it's got to be a nice touch to obviously set us into that finish, taking it across the body. So if it's a right footer and we're coming on the ball from the left side, okay, we're taking that touch onto our right foot to score. And then the same, obviously, if we're on the right side and we want to take it onto our right foot, touch, obviously, out in front of the body to then finish. So it's a good, positive first touch. And then finally, striking of the ball. Okay, so obviously keeping our head over the ball, knee over the ball, not leaning back, because with our finishes, what we're looking for is to aim for the corners. Okay, so it's important to tell the players, because obviously when they're tired, the main thing they have to do is just try and hit it as hard as they can. Okay, so it's trying to train the players to, when they are tired, still look and just caress the ball into the corner. Okay, so the further it's in the corner, the more difficult it is for the keeper. Okay, and the lower it is as well, it's difficult for the keepers to get down, and the more chances as well, sometimes we've got to get in little nicks of putting the balls into corners, hitting the post and going in as well. Moving into the psychological corner, first thing's having confidence. Okay, so confidence in front of goal. Okay, so confidence, obviously, when we're receiving that ball, to take it into space and finish. So it's obviously important then for the coach, obviously, if you're working with this player, to provide them with that confidence. So if they do miss the target, okay, it's just fine, it's okay. We're doing the right things, encourage them to do it again. Decision making, so once we're getting in that final third, being decisive, okay, looking to finish quickly, okay, not overthinking of, oh, what corner should I put her in? If you get your head up and you see the far corner, put it in the far corner. If you see the near post, put it in near post, okay? If you want to lift the ball, put it into there. So judging the surface, what you're in, where the first touch goes, okay, but just making the decisions quickly. And then finally, awareness. So obviously when we're looking at our first couple of drills, awareness of where the pole is, okay, where's the space going to be, okay, where's the ball coming from, okay, so that moves into our physical corner now in terms of our body shape, okay, so making sure we're opening out to see where the ball is, okay, to see where obviously the defender is, so focus on where the pole is, where the space is, okay, and then where we can target getting in behind as well. Then looking at our speed, so our speed of our movements, okay, so making sure that when we're moving, okay, it's not just lackadaisical, okay, and it's not just we're getting to the pole, we're doing it quickly, okay, and we're making it difficult for defenders. So if it's that, you know, if we're looking at the first part of this week's session, when we're moving in to get the ball, okay, and we're bursting out into space, okay, so it's difficult for defenders to read and then to follow as well. And then finally, endurance, because we're moving at a very high intensity, okay, so we've got to be able to endure, obviously, doing sets of 4, sets of 6, sets of 5, whatever you want them to do. So it's important for the players to realise that when they're tired, that's the most important part, because 70, 80 minutes into a game, okay, they've still got to try and do the right things, okay, still looking to finish the right way. So that's where we're going back to, obviously, the striking of the ball, putting the balls in the corners when we're tired, still obviously the brain doing the right things psychologically, obviously with that decision making, with that awareness, okay, and then when we're in that final third, okay, trying to put it in the corners to score. And then finally moving into the social corner, okay, demanding the ball. So if you're an attacker and you want the ball, okay, demand it. If you're one of the forwards in there, where do you want the ball? If you've created space to move in behind, demand it from the coach, because otherwise they're just going to play it wherever they want. Same with any player on the pitch. They will play the pass what they see. But if you can see something different, or you think you can target something different, okay, both as a coach, okay, you telling the player where to go, and with the players as well. So give them, obviously, that ownership to say, play me in behind, okay, or to feet, little bits of information like that. Secondly, positive reinforcement. This is all from the coach, okay, so obviously if the player's missing the target, okay, they're going to be worried and thinking, I've got to score the next one. Keep positive reinforcement. If the ball just goes wide and you're using a smaller goal, think about it, the bigger picture, it's going to be going in a full-size goal, okay? If it's just it's caused a bobble or it's hit the post and gone wide, okay, just keep doing the right things. And then at the end of the set, okay, if there's little bits of movements which could be changed, or the ball control, then we can try and work on that. But just keep giving the player lots of positive reinforcement so that the confidence stays high. And then finally, providing feedback, okay? So at the end of one of the sets, the finishing might be good, but they might not be receiving the ball well. And because they're unopposed, the player might think, okay, I'm doing it well. So obviously when we're talking about that body shape, it's about opening out and playing. Okay, so with that, if we're providing feedback where it's, okay, the finishing's good, but before that we can make it even better, okay, by obviously having that body shape, okay, our ball control. The players appreciate it and also helps them as well do the right things. Now moving into the final part of this week's session, we're now moving into our final finishing drill. Okay, so what we're going to be focusing on now is coming short to then move, obviously widening behind. Okay, so what the setup's going to be now is we're going to have the poles and mannequins, which are there to be acting as obviously defenders. Okay, so we're going to have some 20 yards from goal here, some 15 yards from goal, and then the start point here is going to be 25 yards, and then this is just going to be just over 30 yards. Okay, so the place in the middle here is just one big step really for the players to get through, and we've got to cut the wide areas here. Is going to be 5 yards either side, okay, and this is just going to be a couple of yards. So obviously you can increase it if you want to. So what we're looking for here is the player, there's going to be two different colour cones, okay? Or if you don't have, obviously, different colour cones, you can just say right and left. So let's say we have red and we have blue. If we say blue, the player's going to come out to then come in onto the cone, okay? So then once they get there, it's going to be in, and then they're going to spin off, okay, around the pole. It's always spinning off around, okay? Then there's two options. We either slide the ball in for them to meet, okay? Or we play into the feet, okay, for them to drive in and finish. Then they can look to maybe go down the line if they're left-footed. If they're right-footed, it's going in. So then the poles are here now, okay, for the players to try and move up to, bit of skill, and then look to finish. So if a player receives the ball here, and they're driving in, they're trying to create that space, little drop of the shoulder, step over, whatever it might be, take it out wide if they want to finish, or drive inside, and then look to finish. As soon as they've finished, back to the start point again, wait for the coach instruction. So they can say blue again, or they can say red, obviously again, left or right. They come out as if they're going to receive the ball, spin off, okay, so creating that space. So that's what we're talking about with that body position, okay, so they're spinning out, and then it's being able to see the ball, okay. So then they're going to come on as if they're going to come onto the ball now. So they're coming onto it, okay, touch into space, assess their options, where's the best way to go. It might be they come down the line to look to finish, or they drive inside, shift that ball onto the left foot, okay, and stick it in the corner. So obviously if they've got goalkeepers, perfect, even better. Okay, so then the keeper can even come out in these areas to try and claim the ball. So again, you want to try and do between 4 and 6 reps for each one. You can even introduce a set, so they come in here and it's a quick set out, and then they get obviously into those wide areas to then go in. And obviously we're trying to use the poles, okay, or the mannequins in here to make it difficult for the players, because they could just get the ball here, touch out the feet, and just place the ball into the corner. Okay, now there's obstacles in the way. It's a psychological, it's for them to come over because they think of something in the way. Sometimes to get the head up, and it's obviously thinking about, oh, there's a pole to the left, there's a pole centre. Okay, so where's my touch going to go? Where can I take the ball into space to finish? Okay, so it's more realistic than obviously just leaving all that area free for the players to use. So obviously, we're looking at the movement, we're looking at the finishing, okay, so they've both got to combine. So without the movements, okay, in a game, so if the player just stands near the pole, okay, in a game, they're not going to be able to get away from the defender. So it's telling them to exaggerate that movement as much as we can. So when they're in here, coming out, okay, because then moving on to the ball, we've got the momentum. And then obviously if they are going to receive it to feet, the coach can still play just in front of the player, so they can get that momentum with that good first touch. And then obviously we're looking to be clinical in that final third. We will now move into our final animation before concluding this week's session. Thanks for watching this week's video. Don't forget to sign up to our website. The link is in the description below, and we'll see you next week for another Session Sunday.